I am a recovering addict, and my name is Tracy Pullins. In about 90 days, it would make 20 years since the last time that I've used drugs. The hardest part of rehab was coming to the realization that I can actually never use drugs again because using drugs had become the norm. What helped me to complete rehab was real simple. It was Eric, Nadir, and Craig. The advice that I would give to someone who is trying to get their self clean, for me, the key to the mint is willingness. You can't do anything without willingness. You need to understand just how willing you are, how far you would go, and what you would do to get clean. Childhood for me is what society would call normal. Although I didn't come up in a household with my mother and father, I did come up in a household with my grandmother and my grandfather. And I had aunts and uncles that were close in age with my sibling and I. And it was just like a house with a lot of brothers and sisters. Although I came up in a house with my grandparents and my aunts and uncles, my mom lived separately, so we did have a lot of time with my mother as well. Now, my home life was very different from my childhood life. My home life with my mom was strained and stressful because her raising me in the way that my grandmother was raising me was different. And as a kid, I couldn't understand how come it was so different, and then I didn't know how to differentiate the two households and the two styles of raising children. So my home life was stressful. I can't really say how old I was when I first started using drugs, but I can say it was between the age of 13 and 14. I was close in age with my aunts and uncles, and I started smoking weed with them. Smoking weed was definitely social. There was no pressure in recreational drugs when I started getting high. Everybody was doing it, so it was no pressure. When did drugs stop becoming recreational and become a habit for me? Was when I found myself getting up every single day to get high. Um, when drugs had became habit, it was far past weed. It had then became cocaine and heroin. When did things shift? It is what is called insidious, which means hardly noticeable. So you really don't notice when the cycle changes. No, I never thought that I would stop getting high. I thought that I was going to die getting high. I realized my desire to stop using, I had already been clean over 2 years, and I had to make a decision in a split second because I found myself no longer wanting to make meetings, and I was truly a meeting maker. Um, I realized that when I got out of transitional housing, that nobody cared if I stayed clean or not but me. It was then I had to make the decision if I was going to stop getting high or if I was going to go back into active addiction. One of the things that I had to overcome in my sobriety or in my walk of sobriety after rehab was my third son father. I was so in love with him and he didn't want me. And that was hard for me to accept that he didn't want me. Um, the last relationship I had in addiction was him. And when I went away, I thought that I would get myself clean and then I can get him to see me for who I really was. But it didn't work that way. Now, he had got involved with someone else and he didn't want me. And that was hard. That was really, really hard. What happened was I met somebody who is my now husband. And once I was able to see past my son father, I believe that that's when I was able to find joy and recovery outside of my children. You would think that what helped me get through rehab would be the same questions about what helped me complete rehab. And although the questions appear to be similar, my answer is not similar. You know, Eric, Nadir, and Craig is the answer to my success. But getting through rehab was different. Um, my oldest son Eric was raised by my mother, and just the thought of getting through, getting clean, and repairing repairing a relationship, being able to give sound answers to questions that Eric may have had was what got me through.
My name is Andrew Pullins. The last time I used was 16 years ago. The hardest part of rehab was withdrawals. What helped me complete rehab was the desire not to use. The advice I would give someone who's trying to stop using is to be yourself. My childhood before addiction was very painful. It was full of drugs, physical abuse, mental abuse, just abuse. My whole life was, uh, I had to grow up really quick to take care of my mom, my brother, and my sister. Well, when I first started, uh, well, I'm gonna say I was like in my early 20s when I started using my drug of choice. It happened just like this. Like the prior day, I had just made a hustle, came off real good. I shared my stuff, and the gentleman who I shared my stuff with was like, "Yeah, if you look out for me tomorrow when I get my check, I'll look out for you." So I was like, "I bet." So the day came, and we were all back there. I was getting ready, and he told me no. And I had went over there trying to fight the guy, and then I was like, you know what? I said, forget this. I can't do it no more. And that was the day I never looked back because I just couldn't. I just couldn't keep on like the way my heart was. I just couldn't keep on, you know, being a nice guy in addiction. So that's when I started my process because, this day I was just like, I can't do it no more. And I didn't look back since then.
Name is Will Nickerson. The hardest part about rehab was being away from my family for as long as it took, making the decision to go for myself, not for anyone else, and seeking out the help to make myself right. Well, I grew up with two brothers. Um, Life was okay. We did our chores. We did what was expected of us. We drank from the hose. Um, we had a great little life before I started using. Um, I can remember playing out in the yard, really being with my brothers. Um, Other than that, it was pretty simple. Some things that I had to overcome: the urge within to want to go buy it, to use it. Um, Dreams that I would have that I was remembering when I was doing it. Basically, memories coming into my subconscious. And then waking up knowing that I'm sober, but also having that yearning to want to use again. But I have to have the conscious decision to say no. How is life now that I'm sober? Well, I've been sober for quite some time. 16 years is a long time. I got to watch my kids grow up. I got to do the things that I want to do because I was able to do them. So I would have to truly say that it's been fun but yet simple, because I knew what I had to do. Making the logical choice of becoming sober was a choice for me.
Oh, my life is wonderful. All the things I've been through between the drugs and the alcohol and the person I wanted to be, I am that person. And my life is, I wouldn't trade it for the world.
How is life now, being drug free? It is amazing. I'm not where I want to be, but I'm definitely am not where I used to be. I see my past through that rear view mirror because that's the smallest mirror in the car. You look through that and see your past. As long as I look ahead at my future, the sky is the limit.